Hargreaves, chance for Torquay! Chris Hargreaves, the captain! If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells!
Hello, welcome back to part 2. The Goals I View, brought to you by Galaxy TQ. Thanks as ever for sponsoring us. Right, so some questions, some polls, and some reading by Tom. Off you go.
Social media, Tom is back.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm back. Yes,
Got my
back
feet up
and
now.
sunburnt. Can you believe it? Right. So yeah, this week we asked a couple of questions on Facebook and Twitter. Once again, thank you to everyone who interacted with us this week. The first questions were, is The Great Escape back on? Dom's got the figures on the Facebook one because I can't see it on my phone, but over half of you said yes, they believe The Great Escape is back on. Small of you had of you thought maybe, and a few of you said no. But it was over half, wasn't it, Dom? We reckon on Facebook.
Yep. Yeah, so pretty optimistic bunch up there, aren't they?
And then we go on to the Twitter. We asked the same question on Twitter again. 40% of you said, yes, I believe that The Great Escape is back on. 35% said maybe. And 26% said no. So, yeah, very optimistic from the Yellow Army. A few comments as well. Disco Barry says there is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. It's a bloody long tunnel, though. Fingers crossed. Dave Caldwell says, let's hope it's not a Jim McNichol and police dog finish to the season. Only Torquay fans will know what I'm talking about. We've got Jabba the Gut. ECFC says, of course, York are catchable. Smuffle says 6 games and 7 points from safety. Goal difference. Could it be possible? ? And hashtag Johnson out. Hashtag Osborne out. Says only issues are Gary Johnson and the goal difference. Other than that, there's a chance. So, yeah, the majority, well, on the polls anyway, everyone seems quite optimistic that The Great Escape is on.
It's amazing, isn't it? Considering last Saturday, I think we asked the same question, or if we had done, I'm sure 80% would have said we're down, wouldn't they? So it's quite some turnaround a week.
Absolutely. I mean, we were saying a few weeks ago when we did a poll where we were going to finish in the points tally. I don't think many thought we were going to. I think there was a few of us that said they weren't going to win for the rest of the season. So, yeah. Who knows? And then the second question that we asked earlier today on both platforms again, we've got Eastleigh at home and Maidenhead away over the Easter weekend. How many points are the Goals going to get over the Easter weekend? And if you wanted to add a score prediction, I'll read them out as well. Quite a large interaction on Facebook this week. Paul Hepworth says it's Torquay United, so after last week, undoubtedly 0 points. Simon Bundy says draw with Eastleigh and a win at Maidenhead. Craig Hughes says 3 points.
It will be interesting to realise. It will be interesting now because there's a bit of pressure now. We're back on expectations slightly. Now we're back at play more. I do wonder how that's going to go.
I said that to Tom earlier.
There's a bit of expectation now, isn't there? Yeah, and you can't really be the under. We can, but you can't really be the underdog because as soon as you start being a bit rubbishy in the first half, home fans get on you. When you're away, it's not quite the same. Carry on, Thompson.
So we've got Mark Hepworth who says 4 points. A draw against Eastleigh and we'll beat Maidenhead. Rory Anning says 1-0 against Eastleigh and 1-0 against Maidenhead. We've got Simon Bundy again who says 4 points. My good mate Neil says 3 points. We'll lose 2-0 to Eastleigh and then we'll beat Maidenhead away 2-1. Difficult game, Eastleigh, to judge because obviously they're playoff chasers. But if we can go to Boreham Wood and win there, then you'd like to think we can do Eastleigh over. And then, of course, we asked that same question on Twitter again. At Disco Barry says, well, 6 would be amazing, but we still have to look at other results, of course. York are playing Barnet tonight, aren't they? So that could be a big game for us. Big game tonight and tomorrow will be in the better place, and hopefully if results go our way. James says we have to get all 6. We've got Chow who says 3, victory, and then the inevitable, how has this happened conceding last minute? Robert Luxton says 4 points. We've got Jerry who says got to be 6 points to set up the Great Escape. Jason Stevens says Eastleigh will win 2-1 with Jarvis scoring both. Maidenhead will win 1-0 with Noobs getting the goal. Oh, no, sorry, I've read that wrong. He says Eastleigh, I think he's meant Eastleigh will lose that 2-1 with Jarvis scoring. Maidenhead will win away, 3 points in total. Sorry, Jason, got that completely wrong. Harry TUFC says 4 points, win on Friday with Frank Nubel getting his first goal and a draw against Maidenhead. Tom says after the first 2, after the last two results, then why not? Let's get 6, 1-0 win and 2-1 away at Maidenhead. Rachel says only 6 points will do. I do fear it will be 2. And I think that's all of them on Twitter that I can see. Oh, Pete Hammer says, oh, how we look back with fondness to the Mike Bateson era. And
That's so random.
That is random, but thank you, Yellow Army, once again. That's the social media roundup questions.
That's funny, really. I almost commented, "Oh, I miss Robin Stubbs. What a player he used to be." What strange thing to put.
But no, thank you, Yellow Army, once again for your responses. Yeah, it seems like people believe we might be turning a corner, and
we're all fools.
We need a win at Playmore. I mean, relegation, whatever. Fight. I need to see a win. I mean, the away fans have had some fun, but home fans, we have suffered, haven't we? God,
yeah.
I mean, last home win was it Barnet? When was that?
Oh God, February? That was what, a couple of months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've suffered since then. We've been punched in the gut continually, Sam, haven't we? So we need something, anything.
But it just goes back to you look at points of the season, defining moments of the season, and our home form this season. It's just not been good enough.
Yeah.
It's weird how the shows win. It just shows what wins can do to a football club, isn't it? Because I just find it frustrating. We did have a couple wins under ours before we went down. We thought we were on the way and all that stuff, but I do believe that this team is possibly like 16th, 17th place standards, but it needs to be second or third place standards to stay up.
I always thought we'd get up to 16th, 17th.
Yeah,
I think if these guys had come in 4 or 5 weeks ago, I think we could have done it.
But I mean, we're much. I mean, this is by far the best we've been this season. Think back to like October around then, and oh god, it's been some of the worst stuff ever. And like some
we
of the
could barely score at the start of the season. I don't think we scored for 5 matches.
There's like players like I don't want to single individuals out at all, but I'm gonna have to. Like players when like Toke came in, we thought he would be a bit like Nooble's been and that kind of thing. And yeah, he scored a couple goals, but he just didn't show that. And obviously he's nowhere to be seen near the team now. And it's just been a lot of players have come in and not just that.
It's the early January signings for me, those young guys who came in then. If we'd have got a couple of proper signings we'd have been all right. But we got those youngsters in. I can't even remember their names. It's just
I can't even remember which ones now.
They did nothing, did they? For 4 weeks?
The striker from Cardiff, for example.
And Swindon as well.
Oh yeah, and Swindon. And then those are just desperate signings. Then
made no impact at all, did they?
You can argue that it's harder to get loan players in January because a lot of football league clubs are trying to get football league moves for them. But if you recruited properly in the first place, that wouldn't be an issue, would it? Those loan signings should only be adding on top to what you already have, not desperately trying to rescue your season. And as we pointed out, was it you, Dom, last week, who said, well, actually, there's only like 2 or 3 summer signings in the squad.
Yeah.
And says what it needs to say, really. I mean,
he's basically tried to shuffle out as many as possible, isn't he? It's only Donovan and
I mean, is Marshall injured, or is he? I mean, I don't blame him, but has he just gone, no, absolutely not? So not be on the bench would suggest maybe he's injured, but he's gone, no. After that Dagenham game, like one thing's the penalty, but the second goal, oh my god. And the Crow's been nowhere near for a long time. Mensah's never got anywhere near after that 45 minutes. Lovett was nowhere near after that Altrincham game at home. I mean, it's meant to be a number 2 anyway. And apart from killing every week, obviously. And then just players like that. Hansen's gets the odd minute now. Gavin, but they're not gonna. Ben Wyatt as well. Like, what? That's the one signing. He's not a youngster.
I think he should have been better, didn't he?
He should have been a lot better.
He's had a few good games, but not many.
The best thing about him this season has been I predict a Wyatt. Chant at the weekend. That's literally been his best one. But I thought he was going to come in and be a really strong left back, and Dan Martin wouldn't get his. I mean, he hasn't replaced back because of injury, but he's the one that again he should have been a lot better. Of course, I know other factors hinder players, but he should have been a lot better because he's an experienced League 2 left back. He was last season.
That's it. He's had good experience. So
those are the ones where you look at. You go, well, actually, it's not all recruitment that we say it is because it should have been better. But what can you say? It's a frustrating one for us to speak to now because it's like, we've won 2 games, but it's also a bit bittersweet when it's like we're still absolutely in dire trouble. And it's always a bit frustrating. It's like, why couldn't this happen before?
Yeah.
Especially, we've got to talk about the accounts that came out since we last recorded as well. Very worrying. I don't want to end this on a negative. I mean, there's people out there which understand their finances a lot more than me. But to lose 1.2 million and to basically that thing he said afterwards, and then to hear nothing, it's very worrying times. And if you go down,
I thought they were predictable accounts in some ways because they went in the same trend as the previous.
Of course,
year, didn't they?
Yeah, but it's just like, how long does that go on losing $1 million?
It's interesting to see now that the supporters trust are asking questions now as well.
Yeah,
which
that was on Devon Live today, wasn't it?
So which I'm sure will be completely ignored because that's just our owners, and it's concerning though. It is concerning
to see the supporters trust gather a bit of momentum now.
Yeah, 40 odd sign-ups.
Bit more on their profile, a bit more sign-ups, and just become a bit more notable amongst the fans. Because if you talk to a lot of fans, they'll be like, supporters trust. Who are they? What do they do?
You could argue that they won't get their full influx until something like the worst case scenario, liquidation or administration happens. Then
I think they can gather a lot more momentum at this stage, can't they? Especially when we haven't heard from the owner since September, when he came up with a brief.
I mean, look at the Scunthorpe owner came out, didn't he, after the defeat, and he was completely open and upfront about their situation. I mean, they're looking like they're going to have to train 70 miles away and close the academy down. It's Do you think the Great Escape's on?
Mathematically, we would have to get 6 or maybe 4, but 6 points in the next 2. I don't rule them out, of course. I never rule anything, but and I'm proud of how they performed the last 2 games. But oh my god, it's not even a Great Escape. It'd be mental.
I still think it's a little. It's
just
a little bit too late for us to save it. I mean,
I think it's a lack of strength and depth as well. You're relying on a lot of players to get 90 minutes out of a Friday, Monday, and then the following weekend. As soon as one player goes, as soon as you lose a Moxie, as soon as you lose one of the centre backs, one of the midfielders.
I'm just worried about fitness now because they've got a bit of momentum and they've got their adrenaline flowing, so that the confidence they will sort of override that. I think.
If you turn up,
but my head says it's still too much because I'm not that type of guy who believes that there's kind of miracles happening. But football can throw up that sort of thing, can't we?
The next 3 games are going to decide our fate, really.
Yeah. I remember the last time we had a Great Escape under Nico. I think it was a bank holiday loss against, was it Lincoln, where we lost up at theirs?
Yeah,
they were pushing for the league.
We were pretty much dead and buried that season, weren't we?
Yeah, well, both seasons, because I remember we lost at Easter on Easter.
Yeah. Oh God,
we lost 5-0 at Dover when Barry got his.
I was there. Yeah, I remember that.
And then we lost 1-0 at Easter, 2 days afterwards. We played Saturday, Monday for some reason, and then we still come up and say that.
2016 was unbelievable because that squad was patched up with part-timers and newbies for a lot of seasons. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, no,
it's just our history, isn't it? Our history of these Great Escapes. I
think that's what supporters cling on to a little bit here, Tom. That we've done this sort of thing before.
Yeah,
and they cling on to other things.
But we've also been relegated a lot recently.
When we're doing well, they expect the worst. I think it's a kind of mentality of Torquay fans, and we've been through all those struggles, but we've had those glorious Great Escapes.
Yeah.
It kind of lodged in the back of their minds, isn't it?
I still think we're just gonna fall short. I think it'll be closer than I anticipated a couple of months ago, but
I just think all it takes is to lose on Saturday and then not be
absolutely
made done. It's fully done. Because if you lose on Saturday, you're relying probably on a result against Wrexham.
Yeah.
So,
but
that's why I couldn't possibly say that we're going to do it, because we are literally on the brink, can't we? Lose on Friday.
And let's not beat around the bush here. Even if we somehow did survive, is that something that should be celebrated?
It'd be celebrated. I'll celebrate all summer, but I'll only celebrate if they learn their lessons next season. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
If they stay up, we've got to see some kind of progress. So
they've got to go.
I can't see it. That's the trouble. I can see the squad being ripped up and started again. I can see.
Well, it has to be whatever
change.
Be another rebuild.
I can't see a team.
I mean, a rebuild's all right if you sign good players.
Well, yeah.
Because it just means you start a bit slowly while they all gel. But if they're always going to be rubbish, then
I think if you can,
good teams don't sign 15 new players every summer, do they?
Or 34 a season.
I think if you can avoid defeat on Saturday and then win the next 2, then there's still that would be a good week for us.
Definitely, but it's massive here.
Before I run out of light, you got any score predictions for?
I think
there is a light round here, but it's not
Is
my
it getting
setup.
a bit dark up north, Tom?
Oh, I don't know. There's just it's not my setup, so I don't want to press the wrong buttons just in case.
See, I've got my own light, mate.
Hey.
Light always shines on the righteous sound, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Good thing I'm glowing from my burn/tan from last week. So
you and your rosy cheeks keep it.
Right, score predictions. Chris will say 2-1 Eastleigh. I will go for. I'm afraid.
You'll go 2-1 to Eastleigh.
Yeah, no.
And the Maidenhead game.
See, that's completely reliant on the Eastleigh game for me. If they do lose 2-1, which I predict, I'll say 1-1.
Okay.
I haven't predicted Torquay to win for ages, but I'll go for it 2-1 to Torquay, but then I'll say 2-2 at Maidenhead.
1-1 against Eastleigh. 3-2 Torquay at Maidenhead.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Chris.
2-2.
There we go. Great.
No, he would say a win to Torquay on Friday.
Yeah.
Definitely. And he's going to the Maidenhead game, so I think you'd predict a win there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it really, isn't it? Cheers for joining us. Thanks for watching and all that. I'll just say the same thing twice. And we'll see you next week.